So following up on yesterday's video, maybe you did some of the work here and examined an ordinary day in your life, and yeah, so much of it seems to be one problem, then another problem, and you walk out of the movies and the movie was just a form of a problem that got resolved, but it was very temporary before you grabbed your phone, and then there was some other problem. And sometimes it masquerades as something like a game until you realize that game you're playing on your phone really is just another problem that your mind occupies itself because it's got some solution. And worst with computer games is that every time you solve it, there's just another level to advance to. So it's really a never-ending problem. And what a great comment yesterday. Someone mentioned that boredom is withdrawal from the problem-solving mind process. And that's such a great way to put it, because boredom is so uniquely human. Chances are we're the only species on the planet that feels this sense of boredom. And also notice when you are bored, how good it feels to get back into another problem. And so by any type of criteria, this problem-solving addiction is a genuine addiction. It would fulfill any type of criteria for an actual addiction. So here are a couple pointers just to help you find that life isn't always a problem. And one is just watch it. And one of the things that I do is I sort of pretend like I don't pretend, it's just an image of a relationship with my mind, that it feels like a pet living in my skull. And so you can feed it sometimes. And by that I mean give it some kind of problem. Crossword puzzles are kind of interesting because they have a definitive end state to them, not like computer games. And so give it some small problem and then move on. And just like you would with a pet, you wouldn't overfeed it, but you give it a little something to play with from time to time. Go slow. I like this method of small moves. See, the mind, this problem-solving mechanism in the left brain, has a momentum to it. And very few people I found, really no one I know has talked about this momentum, but you can really feel that if you've been doing problem solving in all these different forms for 20 years, it's like an 18-wheeler going downhill. And that's how much momentum it gets to it. So you wouldn't want to slam on the brakes. And so go slow with small moves and recognize it for a little bit, and then maybe go back to that normal state of problem solving and then recognize it a little bit. See, the whole thing about the mind is it's a lot like the Wizard of Oz, and all you got to do is just one observation of pulling that curtain back and seeing the truth of who the real wizard is and just a person. And that's what this mind program is. It's just a program. And once you see it, even just a glimpse of it, just one little observation, changes everything. And that's that small step. And so sometimes it feels like, yeah, the truck's still going downhill, but instead of 100 miles an hour, now it's 70 miles. And so the last pointer I'll give you is something from the East called no effort. And so often problems require effort. We try desperately to solve every single problem. But what they found in the East is the mind pushes back. And so when we try not to solve a problem, that becomes another problem. And so the idea of no effort is almost perfectly synonymous with the first point I made, is just observing the thinking mind and its problem-solving addictions. When you observe them, you're not doing anything particular. It could be the same thing as observing a mountain lake.